Okay, it is September 18th, 2024, bringing you a Lake of the Ozarks fishing report brought to you by James and Denise Dale Guide Service here on Lake of the Ozarks. If we can ever help you down here on a guide trip, point you in the right direction, or any way we can ever help you down here, please shoot us an email or give us a call, and we will do everything we can do to help you. So we are in September now. Obviously, it's been a few weeks since we've done a report, and things were kind of all the same, but now they're changing a little bit. They started changing pretty good in the right direction. We had a cool down a couple weeks ago, but now it's kind of heated back up. The water level dropped about a foot last week or so, so that's kind of stalled things a little bit, kind of shook the fish up a little bit. I kind of like to call it, they get comfortable, they get feeding in a certain way. We can catch them and pattern them pretty solid, and then the water drops. The water heats up, cools down, does something, and it kind of spins them a little bit, and they move where they're setting up and how they're feeding. So we've been catching them kind of shallow, a lot of shallow fish, and even some main lake fish, on topwaters, a variety of topwaters. That was starting to come around, progress pretty good, and now it's kind of went away a little bit for us. This week's trip's been, we've caught fish, no problem catching fish, but the big fish have kind of eluded us a little bit this week. When I say big fish, anything over 4 pounds, 3 3/4, 4 pounds, that's pretty good fish. And it's been a little bit of struggle this week to catch those. We're catching plenty keepers and catching plenty numbers. It's just those big fish, and those are the ones that really are affected by water change or condition changes the most. A lot of these little fish, I don't think they're either smart enough or worry about it or whatever. It doesn't seem to affect them like it does the big fish. Same goes with like a major cold front, a big weather change. These little fish, they still bite, but these big fish, they just kind of go dormant for a while, or they just, I don't know for sure. If I knew, I would catch them all the time. But either way, we've got a lot of stuff coming up, tournament wise, fishing wise. In the next few weeks, we've got the FLW Toyota Series. Next week starts on Thursday, Friday, make the cut, fish Saturday. So really looking forward to that. That's a big tournament, probably the biggest tournament for us. Each year we've had several team tournaments the last several weeks. Had the Cops and Bobbers. Had what we fished last weekend? Just Fish. Just Fish. We had a tournament. This week I know Bass World Sports has one on Sunday. I think there's a solo pro out of Shawnee maybe. What else is going on this weekend? You can look at a regatta. There's several, not crazy amounts, but enough of them. And of course we got the big Bass Bash coming up in just a couple, 2.5 weeks, I guess it'd be, the first weekend of October. So a lot of things coming up. The lake has really slowed down traffic-wise. I mean, major. The weekends are still a little busy. Last Saturday, when did we fish that last tournament? Saturday or Sunday? Yeah, last Saturday we fished the tournament, and it was nice out, beautiful day. So it got pretty rough, but it's nothing different for the Ozarks. You know what you got when you come to the Ozarks, but it's not like overabundance traffic. And the weeks, like this week's trip's been really nice. I mean, very few. Monday's trip was a little further up the river. I don't know if we've seen 3 boats all day. Tuesday was down lake. Today Wednesday?
Yeah.
Wednesday was, I don't know, Glaze towards Tantera. Tomorrow I'm going to be up in the Gravois. And
Right.
Denise has kind of been the same all around. Hurricane Deck area, Glaze
Yeah.
today.
Mhm.
So we're kind of jumping around with trips all over the lake. So we're getting a good view and a good feel for what's going on as far as shad, if they're moving in, moving out, where they're positioning the bass, how they seem to be feeding, and what baits seem to be producing in any given area. Now, saying that, I really have not seen a big difference in choice of baits depending on where you're at in the lake. For the most part, we got mid to upper 70s for water temperature. The water is 658.35, so we're going to say a little over a foot lower than full pool. So it's still full, for the most part. So, and as far as visibility, it's there's little pockets, like there's clear and then stained and then clear again. When I say clear, I'm gonna say 2.5, 3 foot, and then stained, I don't know, 18 inches to maybe 2 foot. So a little bit of different water change, different areas, and it's kind of random, really. You can't say lower end is clear and mid lake is stained, because the lower end's a little dirtier than I can kind of remember it for this time of year. Now I know it's gonna start clearing off, less boat traffic. Kind of depends on what happens with rain.
Which we're not seeing any rain.
Really not. Little chance of rain tomorrow morning. Friday, they kind of backed it off now. It's only like 40%. It's supposed to be 90 tomorrow, 94 Friday. So we're not going to get any cool down by the end of the week. But next week, we've got several days of 50-degree mornings, 70-degree afternoons. And that's what really does it, these cool nights. These cool nights really start bringing that water temp down. And then also our shorter daylight days really gets these fish going, just like the deer are moving more. Everything, you see the squirrels are cutting nuts and packing them away, and just everything's going on because the wildlife knows what's going on before we do. So everything's happening. You get the big cool downs, the big drop in water temps, that'll speed things up. But it's just creeping right now. It's just slowly creeping. Shad, for whatever reason, seemed to be mid creek, I guess. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Midway back in creeks, a lot of small shad, these 1.5 inches. Not seeing them big gizzards like we're wanting to see.
Right. And you're and visibly being able to just kind of look in the cove that you're in, about it, kind of like all of a sudden
Ricardo,
you're gonna see them on the surface, and kind of creating your
right? And it seems like early
doesn't
in the
happen
day
till-
they're down 10, 12 foot.
right.
And you'll see big wads of shad, but like different groups of them all around the creek. You go in a creek, you'll see a big ball of shad here, and then you'll see another big ball of shad, and you'll see bass down there feeding on them. They're busting them on the surface, and obviously you can catch some of them fish. Most of them are just keepers. If you're a big live scoper or want to chase down those fish, obviously you can do that right now because they're just in these creeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily the way I want to fish. I don't feel like I'm going to get bigger fish like that, So we're more for, at least I am, the top waters early, and then kind of throughout the day too. Sometimes, in top waters, we're just throwing the same old, 3/4 ounce head knocker buzz bait, black gold. Put your number 3 trailer hook on the back of that. Even the half ounce head knocker buzz bait, same color. And then even the X bite with the X toad on the back of it is starting to come into play. You know, especially on a more sunny day where you're going to have to skip back up underneath these cables and catwalks, getting that shade. You know, and it just not only for the shade, but just to get the baits where maybe not everybody's getting them and the fish aren't seeing them. Plus, just the bass want something over their head. So, you know, the catwalk is perfect. It goes from the dock all the way to the bank. The fish can position themselves under them catwalks wherever with something over their head, little shade line, little ambush point. So it's always a good place to kind of target, you know, with whatever you're throwing, topwater wise. Obviously, we're throwing the Whopper Popper, we're throwing the Chapo 120, throwing the, what's the next one then?
105.
105, and even the 90. If you're having tough time getting a bite, you can throw that 90 in black or bone. We kind of go through different colors. I'm not sure any particular color is better than other. What do you think? I mean, I know you like that.
I don't know.
What that's called.
I usually go darker, like your black, your what Maverick, I think's the name of it. Darker with a fast with the topwater, but a walking bait, I have a tendency to go with the lighter color, like your
and
spook.
Maybe
and,
you know the walking baits. You know, like a. So they have a spook here.
Spook.
We're throwing a spook.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just a bone-colored spook, starting to produce pretty good. Right up on the bank on these big rocks, and work it away from the bank pretty quick, and then stop it. Let it sit there. Your odd banks, or not odd banks, your odd docks in creeks. Just an odd dock that sticks out way further than the rest. You can catch quite a few fish with the spook working that shade line. You know, with the spook, it will call them fish out. If there's a fish underneath them docks, you can run them spooks down those bigger docks in a creek, down that shade side, and pull some fish out with spooks. And you can catch some pretty good ones like that too with the spook.
And this is a combination of both of them put together. It's got the dark back, and then the white belly with your little pink. But that's kind of, it's almost like they're both kind of put together. So
and how much do they see the color when that thing hits the bait and you're retrieving it? I don't know. You know, we go through this all the time. You got to throw that black one. No, you got to throw the white one. We both go out, have similar days, success. I'm throwing the black one, she's throwing the white one. So did it matter? Probably not, but you know how it is. Whatever you're catching on, I'm not changing. I'm going to keep throwing that bait.
Right.
It's all about confidence.
Sure.
Especially right now, because I'm going to say the fishing in general, all around, I'm going to say is fairly tough.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
I mean, you've seen it in tournament weights. You know, I know a lot of guys don't tournament. A lot of people don't tournament fish that watch the reports. But we just a lot of times refer to tournaments for a gauge of how fishing is, because the tournaments, you've got some of the best anglers in the Midwest fishing all these tournaments, so you can get a pretty good gauge by what's being brought in. If there's a lot of 18 to 20 pound bags, and you know you're bringing in 10 or 12, or you're catching 10 or 12, then you're off the pace a little bit. You know, you're not throwing the right thing. At least that's how I judge my performance. And Denise has been doing it all week. Have you been?
I've been.
What have you been doing with your scale?
I've been just because at the end of the day, you have a tendency to just kind of not sure. You know, I've basically been weighing my fish. The minute I catch it, I weigh it. And then I get my 5. I literally weigh it and throw it right back into the water. So at the end of the day, I can literally say, okay, my best 5, you know, was this weight. So I think that really kind of, we've got that you know, there's a 4 or 5 pound difference every day, and that's that getting that bigger fish, and they're kind of you know.
Yeah, and you don't know when they're going to show up.
Yeah.
You know, on any given day, you know, we've had cloudy days, overcast days that you're like, we're going to kill them on topwater, and we don't catch any. And then we have a bright sunny day, and we catch them. So the fish, you know, they have a mind of their own. It ain't that big, but a lot of times it's hard to outsmart them. You know, but so you know, basically the topwater, we're running the topwater pretty much every day. We'll give it an hour or two. If you're getting swirls or you're catching fish, I'm gonna keep throwing it because I can cover a lot of water. And the potential to catch a big fish on topwater this time of year is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, like I said, those are the topwaters we're throwing.
It does kind of seem too like if they don't get a hold of it, to me it seems like it's those smaller fish and they're just kind of bumping at it. If you've got a 3 or 4 pounder that really wants that topwater bait, they'll get a hold of it. So
yeah, when they hit it,
absolutely.
they
Yeah.
eat it, get it in their mouth.
Yeah.
You know, obviously other baits we're starting to throw, haven't had a whole lot of success, but it's right around the corners like this Shad, the Spro big Shad. We're not seeing them big gizzards yet. As soon as you start seeing them, then it's time to really throw this thing. Even just ahead of it, you know, the bass are looking for the big Shad. So, and there's some, you'll see some darting around, but they're not obviously not big schools of them. I'm not seeing them. So, you know, these big glide baits, we're throwing them now. We're catching some on them. Not a lot that I can say I'm going to go out and throw that most of the day and catch them. Can't really guarantee that, but that's any day. I mean, it could be tomorrow, it could be next week, you know. So those baits are good. Other glide baits, like this is that Spro S-Wave, ain't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those Spro S-Wave, just a smaller one, about a 3.5, 4 inch, you know, will get you a lot more bites and some big fish if that's what they're feeding on this size, you know. So, you know, this is a little smaller bait, easier to throw. You know, you can throw this on 15-pound test, so it has a lot of action. You can run it down alongside the these big docks, up to the bank around, you know, bigger rocks, in the backs. You can throw this anywhere you're seeing shad, and you think the bass might be busting. You know, very productive bait. You know, and it comes on really good in September. You know, I gradually throw one about this size, and then gradually get up further, size-wise, up to like that cold shad, which is, I don't know what that is, 7, 8 inches. A great big one. You know, so you kind of look at what the shad are doing, their size, and choose your bait accordingly. You know. You know, like we said, we're flipping shallow. That bite comes and goes daily, I think. You know, you kind of go in a creek, and if the shad are in the backs, and they're busting back there, and they're really moving, and they're active, you can probably go back in there in the shallows and catch them flipping. Either a little shaky head worm, like on a 1/4 ounce crackgator shaky head, and then you know, we're skipping senkos. Like here, you got a little senko there, ain't it? What is that?
Yes, I've got the senko. I've got the weighted head. I've got an 1/8 ounce, and I'm just basically putting it right through the. I've got the bait cave.
The bait cave.
Slim.
This is the slim stick, 5-inch green pumpkin. Really good bait.
Yeah.
We've been using a lot of these. You know, compared to, we still use like the young dinger. I throw them a lot. This is a little softer bait. I don't know if it's quite the same size or not. I really haven't put it together, but
basically this setup with your braid leader, your braid, and then your leader.
What is that? You got 12 on there.
12, right? Yeah. Which is basically what you would put on your.
So like a 20-pound, we've got all of our spinning reels rigged up with 20-pound high-vis yellow with a 12-pound
12-pound
fluorocarbon leader.
Yeah, and these skip like you wouldn't believe, and it's a sidearm skipping underneath those cables, and then this just drops to where your fish are, whether it be by the floats or the under the cables, and it's
basically
if
you're not the best skipper
setup.
with a jig, this here you can skip it. Anybody can skip that. Today we were throwing them on just this Gamakatsu number 1 at it's a drop shot. It's split shot, drop shot. Yeah, hook and a 1-aught Gamakatsus, and we were just rigging them with just a hook without the weight and skipping that back up underneath. And we were skipping big deep dock. We were fishing literally today. We caught fish over 80 foot of water, and then under 3 foot, docks, 3 foot of water basically. And that thing, you can skip it. I don't care who you are. A half hour, you can skip a senko anywhere you want. And the better you get at it, skipping it in these holes between these docks. Bright, sunny, calm days, excellent bait. So the senko, I know it doesn't seem like a big fish bait, but it will flat catch them. It will flat catch them. I seen a co-angler. It's been several years ago. I can't remember his name. But a co-angler in a BFL came in with a little over 20 pounds, skipping a senko, and I think he had more weight than any of the actual boaters did too by skipping the senko. I never forgot that. And
I think it's the I think the skipping part is getting your rod, and it's all about that angle and making sure that you're hitting that angle. And then a lot of times it depends on where you're positioned in the boat. Because if you're in the front, you're good. But if you're like on guide trips, I think if you're in the front, it makes it a little tricky. But in the back, you have that swinging. It's just that motion of making sure you get your rod tipped down, and you're
skipping it just like a rock, and you can vary with.
Oh, that's true.
Obviously, maybe about a foot, 16 inches of line, so you can really get that thing to roll. If you're up too tight or if you're out too long,
right,
you're going to hit too quick. So you got to kind of vary depending on how tall you are, on what length of line you have out with your senko. But you can skip it, and you can skip it under cables that are 2 inches off the water, and get that thing back in there and catch a lot of fish. The other hook, this was the 1-aught. Actually, I was throwing a smaller. I actually run out of them.
Owner makes up. We've
The
thrown those.
I was throwing today the Yamamoto. This was just a little bitty. I don't know how big it was. It was about a 4-inch senko. Anyway, so I was throwing that smaller hook. But a normal size senko, I'm throwing the 2-aught Finesse wide gap that Gamakatsu makes. It's a perfect hook. It hooks them every time. Hooks them in the top of the mouth, and once they're hooked, they do not get up. These things are sticky. I mean, they will. That fish grabs it. All you gotta do is kind of lean into it, and they're hooked. That's another good thing about your senko compared to like a jig or something like that. That senko, you skip it in there, or you skip it on outside corners of big dock, or even on schooling fish. You see schooling fish, a senko is excellent to toss over there and just let that thing sink down, give it a couple of twitches. When they grab it, they're hooked. So that's an excellent bait, especially for, like, say, co-anglers. If you're fishing the Toyota coming up as a co, or if you're in the back of a boat and you just want to catch some fish, some keepers, senko is probably going to be way up there as far as baits to throw. Right there next with a like a 1/4 ounce shaky head with a Zoom Finesse worm, or like a senko on it, Yumdinger, whatever, you know. So the Senko is catching a lot of fish right now. Obviously, we're catching some on flukes. They're not great big fish. You'll catch keepers now and then on just a fluke on shady corners. And I can't even tell you if it's always big deep docks, because when them shad are halfway back in the creeks, you can go halfway back in the creeks and catch those fish that are feeding on those shad and have kind of retreated back to a dock under shade and waiting for them shad to scoot over to them. You know, this is just a Zoom Super Fluke pearl color. Rig it with a 5/0 wide gap Gamakatsu, and then put you a number 4 treble hook stinger on there, so you don't miss those shark strikes.
Yeah.
You throw it on a medium,
always.
a medium action rod. You want a lot of give, a lot of action. 10 or 12 pound fluorocarbon. This is the rig right here. You can see the 5/0 wide gap, and then you've got a number 4 treble hook hanging on there, and that'll catch 75% of your fish, just that treble hook. So, you know, keep that in mind. That's a good bait just to catch fish. Kentucky's keeper largemouth. I've caught 3-4 pounders on it. So you never know what you're going to catch. It's a good finesse bait. You know, but as far as other baits, we're flipping. Obviously, we're flipping a 1/2 ounce zapper jig with a variety of trailers. Some days we'll throw just like the Crappie ring crawl, which basically is, I call it a winter trailer, because there's not a lot of movement. It just kind of sets there, but it's finessey. And then you can go with something like this Bojangles Nos, N-O-S, what is it, Nos crawl?
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
it's a Nos something, Nos crawl, I believe it is.
It's right.
But it's kind of a bulkier size. It's got a twin tail kicking, moves a lot of water. It's a bigger size bait, so it moves a lot of water, displaces a lot of water. You know, got a lot of action in it. The bait cave cricket 3.8. Denise has been throwing that a lot, and it's got the right beveled edge legs, kickers, and it thumps. It kicked really good.
Yes.
And that's been a really good trailer this year for us, as far as kicking compared to.
It does come it comes in the 3.8, and I have downsized it a little bit, where I basically trim off some of it to kind of shorten it to where it's right in there where the skirt is, not too much hanging past the hooks. But it is a awfully good trailer.
Compared to like normally, or not normally, but a lot of times we'll throw this net bait Pekachunk, which is a great bait, got twin kickers, but if you've thrown it at all, it's got a good, it kicks, moves out, but if a fish bites it, they tear that leg off, and you go through a lot of those baits. If you're catching good fish, I don't mind it. But these other baits, this bait cave holds up real good. So does that Nos, your Strike King Menace. Those hold up really good compared to like the net bait. But a lot of times these will get the bites too. So you kind of vary your trailers up. Like this here, this is just probably my favorite. Pretty much everyone knows Ozarks crawl, 1/2 ounce zapper with the net bait Pekachunk on the back of it. That there is, you can throw that anywhere and expect to catch some fish. So I throw that a lot. What else we've been throwing? Some days something like this Reaction Innovation Sweet Beaver. You put that on the back of a jig, and it's more of a like I say, it doesn't kick, it kind of glides, and it glides that jig around, and looks like a kind of a slower moving shad. If the shad aren't really busting, moving, something like this on the back of your jig seems to produce a little better. This is a sweet beaver. It's a sprayed grass color. It's kind of got a greenish, purpley tint to it, just like that bait cave. That color is probably one of the best colors I've seen.
Juicy.
It's called Juicy, and it is perfect name for that bait. It's purple tint, green pumpkin, kind of a laminated.
Orange flake. Looks like.
That's money color right there,
Yeah.
for sure. Other baits like those schooling fish we was talking about out in the middle of these coves, alongside docks. If you see a busting, we're just taking like a little quarter, 3/8 ounce, usually a quarter ounce jig head with an exposed hook, and just putting like this swing impact Kitech. That just a shad color. It's a little 2.8. You put that on a spinning rod and reel and throw that towards some schooling fish, or if you see a big ball of shad and some fish feeding on it, throw that past there or throw it right in the middle, let it sink down and work it back. You're going to catch all kind of fish, because this is about the size of shad we're seeing right now. You could probably just go down the bank and throw this to the bank and retrieve it back. I don't care if it's a bluff, if it's a ledge, big rocks, docks. You could throw this all day and probably catch you a limit on it. This little bait right here. It's just looks natural, acts natural, got that squid smell to it. Very productive. We catch a lot of fish on stuff like this when it gets tough, you know. So, and right now I'm gonna say it's kind of tough, you know. That's man, that's about what we did. Drop shot was working today. That's another bait that you can just put a free. Grab that rod there with the drop shot on. Anyway, drop shot has got
Got it. No. Get it. Which way it needs to go.
hang on, we started this project now we're going to get it out there.
Yay!
Alright, so
Yay.
the drop shot, if you're not familiar with the drop shot, rig it up on a spinning rod reel, same line, same 20-pound braid. Sometimes I'll go lighter on this. I might go 8-pound on this, because this is when it gets really tough. You get you a little weight, and they make drop shot weights. I'll be honest, half the time I'd put a split shot on it. I can squeeze it on there, I can pull it off. It works the same. They're cheap, very cheap, little squeezed split, what do they call it? Little, I guess they call it split shot. For some reason I'm not thinking of it. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. It spreads open, you squeeze it down. And I usually put about 18 inches. And you can see right there, I got a little 4-inch robo worm with one of those little 1/0 little hooks, that little gamakatsu. And you just throw that anywhere you're seeing schooling fish, maybe fish on these cables. It works great. Throw it right up through there, and that thing falls straight down. Get down to them, pull it up. You can swim it back, and it catches a lot of fish, and it'll catch a lot of keepers too. Just that little finesse bait. You can also work this, throw it out there, and just let it hit the bottom, and keep your line tight. Just kind of bounce it, shake it. This is on the bottom. The weight's on the bottom, and you can see what that worm's doing when you're dragging that thing. It's just, they can't resist it. So it's a excellent bait, another great bait for co-anglers. Just throw that behind the boat, drag it behind the boat, flip it between these docks. If you got a guy that's flipping docks, flip right in the center of these docks. Pretty much any type of bank. This rarely gets hung up, that little weight. It rolls through, bounces through rocks, drag it down ledges. It's great for bluffs. You get bluffs and you see these fish are suspended 8-10 foot down. You throw it right up against the bluff, let it sink down there, and start working it back, and it'll catch those bluff fish too. So the drop shot, that was kind of a key bait today. It got pretty tough this afternoon, and the last couple keepers came on that couple 2.5 pounders. No, they're not giant, but you get 5 of them. That's whatever, 12.5, 13 pounds.
Yeah.
Right now, that's not bad. It's not great. It's not bad. Toyota Series is coming up. Just for a prediction, I'm going to say, so everyone fishes 2 days. So 2-day total to get a check is going to be 22.5 pounds. That's, what is that, 11 3/4 a day. So just to get a check. To make the day 3 cut, which is the top 25, you're going to need 25 pounds to make the 2-day cut. If you want to be leading this thing after day 2, you're going to need 34 pounds.
17.
That's 17 a day. If you can do 17 a day, that's strong right now. That's really strong. And if things don't really change a whole lot, I'm going to say 45 to 47 pounds will win this tournament. I may be off. I don't think so. I think in general, fishing's fairly tough. You're talking one person to try to catch this amount of weight by themselves, and 3 days in a row. So that's just kind of my forecast right now. This weekend you'll get a better look at some of these tournaments and what's being brought in. There's a Pro-Am on, I think it's Saturday, it might be Sunday. Either way, that's one person, by themselves. Team tournaments, they're usually, 2 guys fish hard all day. They might catch 6 keepers all day. The last 2-3 weeks, 17 to 19 has been really good. Has been winning tournaments. Obviously, there's always somebody catches 20, 21, 24, but that's kind of out of the norm. 17 to 19 right now is about as solid as you're going to get and can expect. So, just my forecast. If you're coming down and you're pre-fishing, or if you're even pre-fishing for any other tournaments, or if you're just out fishing to see how you do, that's kind of where I'm at as far as how I think the fishing is. I think 11 to 13 a day, best 5, is, I'm going to say, average. That's about average. You start getting up 14, 15, that's slightly above average. That's a pretty good day. And then, you get 15 to 19, that's a really good day. That's just my look on things. So you can kind of judge by that, So, man, that's really about it. We're both almost out of drinks, so Denise is out, so we're gonna have to go make another drink.
Yeah.
But good luck to everyone coming down. Sorry we haven't been on here. We've just been extremely busy on a lot of different things. Things hadn't changed a whole lot, but like we always promise, as they change, we'll bring you up to date. We will do a special Big Bass fishing report, suggestions, predictions. Probably the week.
Like Wednesday?
Yeah, maybe Wednesday prior to the bash. So you can look forward to that. We'll key in on what we're seeing leading up to the bash, if any big changes, and we'll give you some suggestions of what we might do if we were fishing the bass. Or it's basically going to be the same things that we're doing if we're fishing tournaments, because we're looking for the biggest fish we can catch. So before the bass, but we can talk more about that. Just prepping your boat, getting your boat ready, having it, before you get down here. Number one piece of equipment on boats, I don't care what brand you have, if it's brand new, if it's old, whatever it is, the number one piece of equipment is your batteries. You cannot do anything without batteries. You can't start your motors, your Garmin's don't work, your live wells don't work, your lights don't work. Nothing works without good batteries. So our friends at Wholesale Batteries in St. Louis, Kansas City, call them, go by, visit them, look them up. I promise you they will treat you right, and they will take care of you. I've run 3 Expion 360 lithiums from Wholesale Batteries, and I'm running a Deca Group 31 for my big motor. Denise runs 3 of the Intimidator, Deca Intimidators Group 31s. We have no problems with batteries ever. So if you're tired, you get tired of having battery problems, which it seems to be a common problem sometimes, look them guys up. Tell them what you are running equipment wise, trolling motor size, 24 volt, 36 volt, how much electronics you got, and they're going to set you up with the right setup, components, whatever you need for batteries. Check out Wholesale Batteries. So, other than that, obviously we're going to have cool nights. Our Africa Reapers are back in the boats.
Yep.
I don't know what else, just obviously Gary has a couple brand new Vexuses down here at Hurricane Deck Bridge. He's got a brand new, 2080 aluminum. That's a really, really nice boat. Price range, pretty good. And then he's got the brand new VXS 20 Vexus down there. Brand new model this year. A little lower profile, a little sleeker, a little shorter, a little race car. But that is a cool looking boat. He's got one down there. They can help you with service. Obviously, they service our boats all the time.
They helped me with my.
Yep. We're real, due diligent with Denise and her. She had a little foot pedal problem last week. They kind of had to do a little troubleshooting to find out exactly what it was, but we figured out that's what it ended up doing. Garmin's great. They sent one out, got it put on.
Yeah.
She's good to go.
Yeah.
So,
very helpful.
the water's still pretty warm. Take care of your fish. Ice them down. I've been filling my live wells. We live on our property. We've got a well, our own personal well, and I will fill our live wells up with well water in the morning of the tournament. That's 55, 60 degree water. Fill it up, and it stays cool. Put a little rejuve in it or G-juice. Aerate that around. Them fish, they love it. You bring that out of 80 degrees, put them in there. They're lively. They stay alive. No trouble. So take care of your fish right now. It's still real warm. You're going to need to take care of them. So, man, other than that, that's about all I got, unless you got anything else. No? So, all right. Well, we'll be looking at watching what goes on this weekend, but good luck if you come down just fishing. Or if you're in tournaments, the fish are biting. You got to work hard at it. It's not easy right now. If you're not catching 20 pounds, you're right there with about 80% of the people, because very few 20-pound bags being brought in right now. If you catch 16, 17, you can feel pretty good right now. So, other than that, just be careful. The crappie we're starting to fish for them a little bit. I'll be honest, we just have not fished for crappie. I went out the other day because we've been talking about it, and I talked to a couple other anglers, another guy that's been fishing for them a little bit, and I went out and I actually caught several. So they'll bite if you want, and these weren't that deep. These were 15 foot on a pile of brush pile. I did lighten up my jig head to a 16th ounce jig head, and then I was fishing one of them little living the dream, little straight tail crappie jig, kind of a shad coat. I dropped it right down on top of them. The key is you drop it into them, and then you act like you're bringing it out, like it's getting away, and it'll pull them out there, and they'll catch them. We can't catch them, or I can say we can't. We haven't been able to catch them on our little 3-inch Kitech, where you cast and you reel by the school. They don't seem to want to do that. They want it right in their face and coming straight up vertical. So whether you're on a big dock, over brush pile, on a cable, whatever. Try to vertically work your jigs on top of them and start working it up. You can drop it in them, reel it up a little bit, or just start creeping it up. As it gets up out of them, they'll come up and grab it. So you can't catch crappie right now, so they're coming. As we cool down, the crappie will come around. Wintertime's always a great time to book a trip with one of us and go crappie fishing. It's just really relaxing. It gets cool. You're out there in a nice little sweatshirt. There's no boats out there. The big crappie are out. We can catch them. We can shoot for them. We can chase them around with the live scope and just fill your freezer full of crappie. It's a lot of fun. So if you're looking for stuff to do in the wintertime, maybe book yourself a trip for December, January, and come down and go out. And it's very easy. It's very relaxing, and you catch a lot of crappie. So, but other than that, we'll try to stay on top of things for you, and we'll be with you in about a week or so.